more than the nearest NFL tandem. And if they don't hurt you in the air, the upstarts from San Francisco can crush you on the ground. Case in point, Pat Hayden, who was sacked 6 times last week, the highest total against the Rams in 5 years. They also stopped Wendell Tyler in the highly touted Ram ground game. And Hayden had to be conscious of 74. You'll see him, Fred Dean. Pittsburgh alive and well and tied with Cincinnati for first place in the AFC Central. Familiar figures, Terry Bradshaw, 12 years out of Louisiana Tech, and Franco Harris, 10 years out of Penn State. Here busting one for 35 yards against the Houston Oilers. And if Bradshaw goes to the air, it will not be to Lynn Swann, but it most certainly will be to young Jim Smith. On the ground, Houston stymied by another steel curtain. And so that's it. The kids from San Francisco and the veterans from Pittsburgh. Coming up. It's in the middle 60s, and the leaves on the trees are russet and gold, brown and yellow. Fall is here. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Hank Strand. Hank, we all know that the 49ers have won 5 straight. The Steelers, once a great team, seem to have roused themselves against Houston Monday night. Is there any other discernible difference between the two clubs?
Vinny, I think to use the boxing vernacular, I think that the San Francisco 49ers are a boxing kind of a team. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the sluggers, the knockout team. You talk about the infighting will come from Frank Pollard and Franco Harris. The home run threats, the knockout shots will come from Bradshaw to Stallworth or Smith. On the other hand, it'll be a finesse kind of an offense, ball control passing by the San Francisco 49ers. I think we're going to be in for a treat this afternoon. We're going to see 2 outstanding football teams here in Pittsburgh.
Well, as you look at Chuck Noll, you can also understand that the San Francisco 49ers lost the toss, and so Ray Wersching will tee it up at the 35-yard line, and deep will be Larry Anderson, number 30, and Greg Hawthorne, number 27 for Pittsburgh. So we're just about ready to get it underway, and a magnificent day, and the Steelers virtually impossible to beat at home. That'll be the challenge. Greg Hawthorne fumbling, then picks it up at the 1, surrounded at about the 8, and down he goes at the 10-yard line. Eason Ramson, number 80, the first man down, and so we'll get this one underway now as the Steelers in poor field position will put it in play against San Francisco. Here's the way the Steelers stack up. With Terry Bradshaw, his running backs are Pollard and Harris, and his wide receivers, Stallworth and Smith. Lynn Swann is out with a pulled hamstring. The tight end is Benny Cunningham, with Penny, Wolfley, Webster, Corson, and Brown up front. First and 10 for Bradshaw at the 10-yard line, and he'll stay on the ground, and Franco Harris finds daylight out to the 25-yard line. Dwight Hicks made the tackle, and immediately Pittsburgh establishes itself with a first down on the first running play.
I think as this game goes along, then, I think we'll find that the team that runs the better of the two will probably do the best job here this afternoon, and that was a great start for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ball will be marked just shy of the 26-yard line. There you see the linebackers, Harper, Bunds, Reynolds, Turner, Lott, Wright, Hicks, and Williamson, the secondary. So Bradshaw with Frank Pollard, Franco Harris. He has Jim Smith wide right and John Stallworth left. He goes to Stallworth, who takes a lick immediately, and he goes out of bounds at about the 31-yard line. Eric Wright knocking him out. Stallworth has caught a pass now in 55 consecutive games. That's a Pittsburgh club record.
You know, Vin, the defensive secondary of the San Francisco 49ers normally play very loose, and I think we're going to see Pittsburgh change their personnel a little bit and throw in front a little bit more than they usually do, and also throw to the backs.
Well, it is 2nd and 3 on the Steeler 33. And it'll be the second man, Frank Pollard, but he is stacked up, and down he goes. Pollard hit by Archie Reese and Dwayne Board. Board, number 76, is the man that got away. He was originally drafted by Pittsburgh.
You know, that was a counterplay, Ben, that time where they faked Franco Harris to the right side and gave it back to Pollard on the left side, but the defense of the 49ers really responded well to that play.
Well, it'll be 3rd and 1 on the 35-yard line of Pittsburgh. Randy Grossman is on a wing outside Cunningham, and they go to Harris going wide outside, and he is brought down as he tried to get around on the outside. Milt McCall knocking him down at about the 36-7-yard line, and they picked up the first down. So Franco Harris, who needed 162 yards to become the third player to rush for 10,000. You know, he has had 7 1,000-yard years.
He's been an unbelievable back, and I think he started the season a little slow. We saw him early in the season. He didn't look like he really had his legs under him as well as he has the last couple of times we've seen him. He's doing a super job at this stage of the season.
1st and 10 on the Steeler 38-yard line, and Bradshaw setting up, goes to the right side to Cunningham, who was hit and dropped. Willie Harper hit him at about the 42-yard line, so they picked up 4. It'll be 2nd and 6.
I think we'll see Pittsburgh throw a lot more than they usually do. They'll throw to their tight end. They'll also throw to the backs coming out of the backfield, because the basic structure of the San Francisco 49ers is one whereby they play a zone a lot, and there's a lot of soft spots in that zone.
And you know, Terry Bradshaw has thrown only 6 interceptions this year. That's the 2nd lowest average in the AFC. Kenny Anderson leads him. The 2nd and 6 on the 42-yard line with Cunningham wide left. Pollard is in a slot. And Bradshaw setting up a little screen to Franco Harris. And Harris still on his feet and goes down at the 49-yard line as Buns finally got him. And that should be just about enough for another first down.
They had him spread out all over the field that time and threw a screen pass to Franco Harris. Here you see Bradshaw setting up nicely, throwing the ball to Franco Harris, who does a good job of running. He knew exactly where he had to go for the first down and got the yardage. Williamson, number 27, had a shot but missed.
So they started on the Pittsburgh 10-yard line and very easily have moved 40 yards to midfield. And Bradshaw on a 1st and 10 with Stallworth going left and Smith wide right. Cunningham is on the left side, and they want Cunningham to go to the right side. Both backs release, and Bradshaw's now run, and he's tripped up and dragged down at the last second by Fred Dean, number 74. And of course, Dean, a remarkable player with 7.5 sacks in 3 games for San Francisco.
I think the matchup between Ray Penny, the offensive left tackle, 74, and Fred Dean, 74, when Dean is in the ball game on obvious passing situations, will be an interesting matchup to watch here this afternoon.
So on the San Francisco 47-yard line, it's 2nd and 7. Pollard on a wing now, so Franco Harris is the sole setback. Too much time. So the Steelers a little disjointed on the previous play. Cunningham lined up on the left when he should have been on the right, and that time Pollard was not sure from a wing whether he should go back to a pro set.
Yes, interestingly enough, they had a double slot formation. 2 receivers on the right, 2 on the left, and they had San Francisco in a situation where really they didn't know what was happening, and instead of taking advantage of the situation, they waited too long and they created a 5-yard penalty for themselves.
So it is 2nd and 12 on the Pittsburgh 48. That's the first time they've lost any yardage at all, and they lost it to the clock. Pollard on the wing again, and now backing off. And Bradshaw is going to be swallowed up, and it's Jim Stuckey, number 79, who pulled him down. Flag on the play.
Frank Pollard that time didn't know where to line up. It looked like he was moving when the ball was snapped. You know, this is something that happens to you then when you're a definitely strong sledgehammer team, and then you try to change your personality a little bit. It's hard to do that. It looks like Pittsburgh is having a little difficulty at this time.
Why in the world would they want to change their personality?
Well, I think they want to take
After discussion, the flag will be picked up. There will be no penalty, and it will be 3rd down.
For example, Pittsburgh likes to throw the ball deep downfield. The way the defense is, they cannot do that early in the game, so they have to go to a short passing game. They have to exercise very, very good patience, and Pittsburgh is not a patient team.
3rd and about 16 yards now on the 44-yard line. And Bradshaw deep down the left side, no good. Intended for Jim Smith with 4 white shirts all around him. So they were looking for Smitty, and he was the primary receiver.
We all have a tendency to do what we do best, even though the planning is such where you want to travel slowly, you want to take the bus instead of the jet. On that particular case, they tried to take the jet even though they had double coverage.
So now Craig Colquitt, who has had only 17 of those 43 punts returned at all, and you have Freddie Solomon and Dwight Hicks, the twin safety men. There's Solomon and Hicks to his left. Colquitt with plenty of time, angling towards the right side, and it will be Solomon allowing the ball to bounce, and it is recovered at about the 5-yard line by Calvin Sweeney, number 85. A fine play by Sweeney, 2 years out of the USC, to get down there and handle it. So San Francisco will put the ball in play on its own 6-yard line. No score. A report, Houston leading Cincinnati 7-0. Stabler to Mike Renfro to get him on the board. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 6-yard line with Cooper and Patton behind Montana. And Joe's going to send it up wide to Cooper. And Cooper's going to be bumped at just about the 10-yard line as Donnie Shell knocked him out of bounds. Friends, this telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the National Football League is prohibited. There's the 49ers with Montana at the wheel, Patton and Cooper the running backs, Clark and Solomon the wide receivers. The tight end is Charles Young. Audick, Ayers, Quillen, Cross, and Farnhorst up front. 2nd and 5 from the 11. Solomon in motion to the right. Fake by Montana, and he's going deep and overthrows Freddie Solomon. Donnie Shell down there with him.
That time he moved the pocket. Normally he throws most of his passes from the pocket. Evidently they have a great deal of respect for the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He rolled to his right with the anticipation of trying to hit Solomon downfield. Had a little pressure and threw the ball over the top. Falls incomplete.
Here's the Pittsburgh defense with John Goodman playing at end with Tom Beasley inside. They're replacing Greenwood and Green. Then you have Dunn and Coors, Ham, Lambert, and Cole, the linebackers. And behind them in the secondary, Woodruff, Blunt, Shell, and Thomas. 3rd and 5 from the 11. In motion is Earl Cooper, and it is a straight-ahead draw to Ricky Patton, but he's swallowed up right about at the 10-yard line by Coors, and that will stop the 49ers. They'll have to punt. Jim Miller, the barefoot punter, will be coming in, and this crowd basking in the brilliant Pittsburgh sunshine.
You know, the great barefoot kicker, the first one I ever saw was Joe Kilikakui, played for the University of Hawaii years and years ago.
Well, he's not from Hawaii, he's from the University of Mississippi. He once hit the gondola in the Superdome. The only other punter to do that was Ray Guy. He got quite a leg. And he hangs it up. Jim Smith making the reception at midfield with a fair catch. And so that's where Pittsburgh will put it in play. 1st and 10 at midfield. Now we have 8 minutes and 24 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The 49ers nothing. And Pittsburgh, reminder, a big day, doubleheader football of NFL on CBS Sports. Most of the country will see the Cowboys and the Eagles, or Detroit versus Los Angeles and St. Louis versus Washington. 1st and 10 midfield for the Steelers. 8 minutes left in the first quarter, no score. And it'll be Franco Harris following Frank Pollard, but no way as Jack Reynolds drops him right at the line of scrimmage. Jack Reynolds, of course, twice a Pro Bowler with the Rams and helping the 49ers after a contract dispute with Los Angeles.
You know, the 49ers usually really exercise good judgment in taking Reynolds. He was an excellent middle linebacker, but now he's playing a middle linebacker in a 3-4. He has some extra help inside, and for that reason, he'll be even more effective with a 3-4 defense playing inside than he was as a middle linebacker on a 4-3.
Chicago leading Tampa Bay 3-0 in the early going. It is 2nd and 8 on the San Francisco 48-yard line. Now Pollard on a wing, and Franco Harris straight ahead, pulling his way. At the top is Buns, and at the bottom is Reynolds, as the two linebackers bringing Big Franco down.
I think as a general rule of thumb, I think anytime you play a team like the 49ers, the best thing they do is go sideways, east and west, and I think the best thing to do against them is to go right at the defense. I think Pittsburgh is strong enough to do that. They're going to get stopped on some occasions, but basically they have to stick it right at the 49ers, and I think that'll be their best way of moving the football on the ground.
Harris so far has carried for 26 yards, though it is 3rd and 3, the ball on the San Francisco 42-yard line. In motion is Randy Grossman, and they go to Harris, can't find it one way, and he goes the other, and it would appear as if he slithered for the first down.
He's amazing. He runs with such good control. That time he looked like he was going to get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, but you can't run like that unless you have very, very good vision. You run with your head up and your eyes open. He runs that way, and for that reason, he was able to pick up the next necessary yardage for the first down.
You know, Franco Harris has played 11 consecutive games without rushing for 100 yards or more. That's the longest such streak of his career, so he's hungry, and we'll watch his yardage today. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 38-yard line. Harrison, Pollard, Stallworth, and Smith in a slot right. Play action fake to Harris, and a wobbly pass with the point down. Coming out of the backfield was Frank Pollard, and he was picked up by Jack Reynolds. That looked like a bad gyroscope, the way that ball left the backfield.
Yeah, he threw that end over end, it looked like. And Keena Turner, number 58, the right outside linebacker, was blitzing on the play.
One thing about Bradshaw, only 6 interceptions, and he needs 4 more touchdowns to tie the illustrious Sammy Baugh. Atlanta leading New Orleans 3-0. Mick Luckers just kicked a 25-yard field goal. 2nd and 10 from the 38-yard line for Terry Bradshaw and the Steelers. And it'll be Frank Pollard. And Pollard is dropped at about the 31-yard line as he burst through the left side. A good block by Curzon, number 77, this 4-year man out of South Carolina. So Pollard is quite a horse.
Yes, and that time Steve Corson, number 77, the right guard, pulled to his left and trapped. Did a good job of creating running room, and Pollard did a good job of running inside on the play.
So it is 3rd and 3 on the San Francisco 31-yard line. No score with 5:40, but it is very apparent the Steelers can move the ball on San Francisco. Franco going wide with Pollard blocking, and he is tripped up. Willie Harper tripped him up at the 30, but he would have picked up another 10. As it was, he picked up the first down.
And Ronnie Lott, number 42, the cornerback, they go outside. Watch 42 come up. He's got a chance to make the play, but he goes a little bit too wide and was knocked to the outside. For that reason, Harris was able to bounce inside and pick up the yardage for the first down.
So Franco Harris now has carried for 36 yards in 6 carries, averaging 6 a bite. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 25-yard line. Stallworth is inside Smith in a slot right. And now out of the eye, and there's indecision again in the Steeler backfield. It'll be Franco, and he fumbled. And San Francisco recovered. It is Eric Wright, number 21, who fell on the ball, the rookie out of Missouri.
Boy, you talk about dodging a bullet. They were on the move. And Harris fakes inside, goes outside. The ball is knocked loose, recovered by Eric White, number 21.
San Francisco, after an exchange of punt and the fumble recovery, actually picked up 15 yards. They have it 1st and 10 on their own 21-yard line. In motion is Ricky Patton. And Montana going to Dwight Clark, and he's down at the 35-yard line picking up the first down. For 6 years, Randy Cross has slugged it up front for San Francisco. What's the club's character?
Well, the San Francisco 49ers of 1981 are a mixture of young enthusiasm and a lot of older players that can still remember the years when things didn't go quite as well. And we're far from an overconfident team, even though we are 6-2. And we go week to week. And we're really looking forward to playing the ex-world champion Steelers here in Pittsburgh.
1st and 10 on the 35-yard line of San Francisco. Montana over the middle, and he's got Dwight Clark again, and he gets all the way to the 44-yard line before the Steelers swarm him down.
Bill Walsh has a very well-conceived offensive scheme and personality. They don't care who they play. They are not going to deviate from their plan. They're a passing possession kind of a finesse kind of a passing team. There you see Clark coming across. He anchors between the linebackers, not very deep, but he makes the catch, runs for another 7 or 8 yards, and that's what they nickel and dime you to death.
For Dwight Clark, he came into this game having caught 42 passes and Solomon with 37. So they figured to keep the Steelers busy all day. Clark is left and Solomon is right. On a 2nd and 1, they go straight ahead with Earl Cooper, and I believe Cooper picked up the first down as he fell across the 45-yard line.
San Francisco acquired the services of Johnny Davis from Tampa. He's big and he's strong and he's a great inside runner. He's not able to play today, but he complements Cooper, who runs very well outside, not as well inside. They'll miss Davis on the short yardage situation stuff this afternoon.
You can look at the NFC leaders with Brown up top, but Clark is coming right after him. He's already caught a couple of balls today. 1st and 10 on the 45-yard line of San Francisco. No score in the first quarter. Ricky Patton. And Patton gets out to about the 50. Jack Lambert made the tackle, and there's a flag on the play.
You know, San Francisco will play with 2 receivers in the backfield. They'll take the running backs out, put 2 receivers in the backfield, and give them be covered by linebackers. It's a good setup and a good system, and they have a lot of fun with it.
Well, we'll get the call now from Bob Frederick.
Offensive holding, number 71, first down.
For Keith Fahnhorst, 8 years up front. He's the veteran of the offensive line for San Francisco, and he was guilty of the infraction. So that'll make it 1st and 20 from the 35-yard line. Atlanta on an 8-yard run by Wallace Francis, leading New Orleans 10-0. 1st and 20 on the Niner 35-yard line. And here's Earl Cooper cutting back inside and dropped at the 41-yard line. And with that, let's make the trip from Pittsburgh to Brent Musburger in New York.
Vinny, the Atlanta Falcons trail San Francisco by 2 games. Beautifully conceived end around. Lynn Kane handing off to Wallace Francis, 8-yard touchdown. And as you just reported now, Atlanta leads New Orleans 10-0. Let's go back to you.
All right, 2nd and 14 on the 41-yard line of San Francisco. In motion is Earl Cooper and Montana with Hofer in the backfield to block. Montana going deep to Cooper, no good. Woodruff right there with him.
Boy, he had him too. Had he been able to get set and throw the ball or throw it accurately, he had Cooper down the sideline. It would have been a big play. Cooper, incidentally, hasn't run that impressively so far this season, and I think he's a better runner on synthetic turf than he is on natural grass.
And you know, as we look at Joe Montana, it's a big day for him. The kid who went to Ringgold High School in Monongahela, then went to Notre Dame. He said he was never in Three Rivers Stadium. Never until today, even though he hails from this part of the country.
He spent a lot of time on it this afternoon.
And how? 3rd and 14 on the 41-yard line of San Francisco. Montana pitching to Big Cooper. He's going to be hammered out of bounds at about the 44-yard line. You know, Cooper's a hungry runner. He has not scored a touchdown in his last 12 games, and last year he had 9 touchdowns. Only 2 rookies were higher. Billy Sims had 13 and Cripps 12. So his sophomore year, they've really shut him down.
Yes, and he's a big, strong running back, 6'2", 227. Played his collegiate football at Rice, but he's an extremely good receiver. Comes into the game with 20 catches.
Jim Miller punting from his own 35-yard line, and Jim Smith standing down at the 15-yard line of Pittsburgh. And he's going to stay right there at the 20. The first man down, Milt McCall, and then Bobby Leopold. So Smith unable to make any kind of a return, and he's dropped at the 21-yard line of Pittsburgh. That's where they'll put it in play. No score, 1:41 left in the first quarter. David Woodley scoring from 3 yards out to give Miami a 7-0 lead over Baltimore. Pittsburgh 1st and 10 on the Steeler 21. Harris is the up back with Pollard back of him, and Stallworth in a slot right inside Smith. And it's a quick handoff to Harris, carrying Danny Buns, among others, out to about the 27-yard line. Franco is on the move, and he'll go over the 40-yard mark now. Early in this first quarter, he's rushed for 44 yards.
And Pittsburgh is doing a good job of getting off the line of scrimmage. The one thing when you talk about the San Francisco 49ers, people wonder why there's such a dramatic change in their personality this year. Their success has been based on the fact that they're playing much, much better defensively than they did in 1980.
They're 6th in total defense, 9th against the rush, 6th against the pass. 2nd and 4 from the 27. And here comes Franco. Started one way, goes the other, and he bought himself a couple of yards in what would have been a loss.
He's amazing. He looked like he was following the instructions of a traffic cop that time. Started to his right. Looked like he was going to get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Watch him. Goes right. Got the ball in the wrong arm. Then goes to the left. Goes up the middle. Maintains possession. And finally makes the necessary yardage for the first down.
So a little razzle-dazzle for the man out of Penn State, Franco Harris. Look at that, 48 yards in the first quarter. He picks up a 1st and 10 on the Pittsburgh 34-yard line. Smith wide right, Stallworth goes left. And Frank Pollard will carry. On top of him is Fred Dean. So Dean, number 74, not only making sacks, but he's also in there on the tackles. He's quite a player.
Yes, I think one thing that you have to concern yourself a little bit, he rushes the passer so well that when he's in there, I think it's very wise to try to run at him some, give him some business against the run to make him stay at home.
You know, an interesting stat about Fred Dean, in his career, he has been awarded 24 game balls. No score at the end of the first quarter. Scully along with Hank Stram. Welcome to the start of the second quarter in Pittsburgh. No score. The Steelers 2nd and 7 on the Pittsburgh 37-yard line. Jim Smith wide right. Pollard in a wing with Stallworth wide left.
32.
And it's Frank Pollard, and he takes a lick right about at the line of scrimmage. Lawrence Pillars, number 65, who has 7 sacks, hammered him. Here's the way the first quarter went. Hank, you see anything there? Except, of course, I guess, the fact that Pittsburgh has rolled up some yardage and apparently easily.
Yes, they have, and I think the big difference in the game so far has been field position. The 49ers started the first drive on the 5, then the 21. Pittsburgh had one on the 50. Now they're on the 42. But the important thing is that you take advantage of field position. They haven't done that so far.
Well, it's 3rd and 2 on the Pittsburgh 42-yard line. And Bradshaw to the right side to Frank Pollard, and Eric Wright takes him down along with help from Bobby Leopold at about the 48-yard line. Good for a first down. Pollard, 2 years out of Baylor, making a good reception and then the additional yardage for the first down. 7-7 for Cincinnati. Pete Johnson scored from 4 yards out to tie it up with Houston.
Dean has been in there right in. He just leads the game. And you talked about the controversy he had with his contract. I don't think it was that as much as it was. I think they were tired of buying all those game balls.
Right, 24 of them. 1st and 10 on the Steeler 48-yard line. Play action fake to Pollard. Bradshaw with forever. And broken up Dwight Hicks and Ronnie Lott, and it was Hicks's hand that knocked the ball away from Jim Smith. Boy, those kids are something.
Yeah, they are, and that was a great illustration of what we talked about going into the game. It's going to be very, very difficult to get the ball downfield deep against this defense. They have to be patient, and there's a great illustration of it. They're trying to hit Smith deep. Lott is with him step for step. He's got help coming from the inside. There's no way in the world you can catch that ball unless one of the defensive backs has a heart attack in the process of jumping for the ball.
Well, you know, Ronnie Lott has 5 interceptions, and they've all come in the last 5 games.
Not a problem.
So the rookie out of USC is really finding himself a home on the left side. Of course, Dwight Hicks, 3 years out of Michigan, is the senior citizen in the secondary for San Francisco. 2nd and 10 on the Pittsburgh 48. No score in the second quarter. Draw to Franco Harris, and he picked up a few. Danny Buns on top of him, Pillars at the bottom along with Harper, and he gets into San Francisco territory at the 48.
You know, Pittsburgh has used that double wing formation, meaning a tight end and flanker on one side, the back and the split end on the other side on 4 or 5 occasions, and they really haven't succeeded in doing a lot of good business from that formation.
Well, you can see Pittsburgh rolling up the yardage, and they have a 3rd and 5 on the San Francisco 47. Bradshaw going deep, and no good. What a lick as Carlton Williamson really whacked Calvin Sweeney coming over.
And Martin also came over from his position and really gave him a shot. Boy, they really laid him out on the play.
You know, this reminds me, Hank, seeing a player down and watching games week after week. It is very noticeable how not only the team members stay away from a fallen teammate, as you see Calvin Sweeney go down and take that lick again, but also it appears as if the coach is disdainful of the injury. The coach never goes near the injured man.
Yes, I think there's a variety of philosophies on that. I'll come back to that in just a minute.
Alone at last.
But Phil, look.
Huh? Oh, that. Doris, I need the blimp behind me because...
Three's a crowd, Phil.
Phil may not know that Goodyear radials and their components have hundreds of quality checks behind them, but he sure likes the mileage he gets.
Doris will go a long way with the blimp behind us.
Mileage. One more reason Goodyear is out front worldwide.
I should have married Stanley. He just has a dog.
Excuse me. I'm not the same crazy coach who used to storm around the sidelines yelling at the officials.
Towel sign here in Pittsburgh. Calvin Sweeney, by the way, is okay. And on a 4th and 5, Craig Colquitt out of Tennessee will punt the ball. Freddie Solomon and Dwight Hicks are the deep men. And this ball will hit and go to about the 1 and go in. Mark Malone, who's a great athlete as well as a third-string quarterback, was down there trying to save it.
You know, the reason Sweeney got such a shot the last time coming across the middle, the ball was thrown a little bit high, and for that reason, anytime you're all spread out, boy, you really get a shot. It's hard to bring the ball down and keep possession.
Calvin Sweeney, the 2-year veteran out of USC, he was a 4th-round draft choice in '79, shaken up on that hard hit by Carlton Williamson, but as you can see, Calvin is okay. Meanwhile, San Francisco will put it in play, 1st and 10 from their 20.
You talked about the attitude of coaches with regard to injured players. Ben, some people feel that they don't want to get involved in disturbing the concentration of the game by going out to see what's happening. They say that's the responsibility
What about you?
The doctor and the trainer. I always felt, you know, you're in a people's business, and I was always concerned about those people. And whenever we had any kind of an injury, I always like to go out there and see what was wrong.
Yeah, when you look at a telecast that come to the ballpark, most of the time, you get the feeling that the head coach couldn't care less about the guy who's down.
I'll tell you a funny thing, though. I was back years ago. We had Abner Haynes, who was a great running back. He got hurt. I ran out on the field. I said, Abner, where'd you get hurt? He said, right here where I'm laying, Coach.
Yeah, all over. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 20-yard line. Chuck Knowles, 13 years, the longest AFC coach with the same team here in Pittsburgh. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 20-yard line. Earl Cooper behind Montana. In motion is Ricky Patton. And Montana releasing to Cooper, and the big guy's at the 30, and what a collision with Woodruff as he goes down at the 32. And with that, let's pay Brent Musburger another visit in the Big Apple with a bite out of it in New York.
Vinny, watch the quarterback, Archie Manning. Here's a lesson that Hank Stram taught him. You got to set up the end around and look at number 8 over here. Going to throw the lead block against a Falcon defender there, and Jeff Groth turns it upfield. 23-yard run. That set up a field goal. It is now 10-3 Atlanta over New Orleans. Back to you now in Pittsburgh.
All right, they all get paid. They all have to play. 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 32-yard line. Clark is on the left side. Solomon with Patton as the wide receiver and Cooper in motion. Solomon coming out of the backfield, and Montana is swallowed up by Coors. Bob Coors picks up his 4th sack out of Arizona State, number 90. He's playing for L.C. Greenwood. 6'3", 245 pounds. Good player.
And Gary Dunn, number 67, also got good penetration and helped down that rush of Joe Montana.
You know, the Steelers going into this game had 19 sacks in 8 games. They had only 18 sacks in the entire 1980 season, so they have really improved in that department. 2nd and 20 on the 22. Montana trying to get it back in a crowd. Broken up, intended for Charles Young, but Lambert was there. Ham was there. That was really throwing it into the crowd.
Yeah, he really dodged a landmine that time, so to speak, because there was a lot of folks where the ball was. He threw it a little bit behind, but there was no way in the world he could have gotten that ball between the three defenders, and he very rarely does that.
Any one of three could have had the interception. So now on a 3rd and 20 from the 22. It'll be Ricky Patton. And Patton is out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line, but he had to get to the 42, so they're a long way from the first down, and San Francisco will have to give up the ball again.
It's amazing. The 49ers have not had good field position. They are a very high percentage kind of a team as far as not taking the risk is concerned. They're not going to cough up the ball, but they haven't really had much of an opportunity to express their offensive personality so far in this contest.
And Jim Miller under a heavy rush. Just did get it away. Flag on the play. The ball going out of bounds, and Miller was dropped to his knees, so perhaps it'll be running into the kicker. Personal foul. That's what it is. And that means San Francisco will retain the football and pick up the automatic first down as Jim Miller goes to the sideline.
That's what happens when you do not take the proper angle. You must take a position about 1.5 yards in front of that punter and get the ball as it comes off his foot. If you get any closer than that, you're going to hit the kicker, and that's exactly what happened on the play.
Personal foul, running into the kicker by the defense, number 62. First down.
So you can take another look as Miller's coming in. Tunç Ilkin, he's a fellow who was born in Istanbul, Turkey. There he is, and Tunç putting a crunch on Miller. So it is 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 31 as Miller goes to the sidelines for repairs, and Montana keeps the football. Coors is right there to handle Walt Easley, the rookie out of West Virginia. So Easley hit straight up by Coors, and that's that. He barely got back maybe 1 yard more than the line of scrimmage. Buffalo leading Cleveland 6-0 in the second quarter. We get that report.
You know, San Francisco, they want to run the ball, but they're not concerned too much about what they do with it. They just want to control the line of scrimmage and help keep the defense off the passer, because that's what they really want to do, is move the ball downfield with a forward pass.
On a 2nd and 7 from the 34, we have 10 minutes left in the half. Ricky Patton trying to find daylight, but the black shirts all over the place. And down he goes. Lambert, Ham, Shell, and Woodruff all in on the hit.
The Pittsburgh defense is really chasing like gangbusters. Then some kind of a reverse, some kind of a misdirection play would be very effective against the Pittsburgh Steelers, or where they're playing at this stage of the game.
So far, in looking at the numbers, Montana is 4 for 7 for 40 yards. Bradshaw 4 for 8 for 25 yards. 3rd and 3 on the 38-yard line. Montana finally releasing off the hands of Patton, and he was hit by Jack Ham.
Jack Ham really did a good job. He took a sniff of the running fake, went inside, and then all of a sudden he saw it was going to be a pass, got right back in the path of Earl Cooper, made a good play, and for that reason the ball was not caught.
So on a 4th and 3, Jim Miller will come back to punt again. He'll be punting from about the 28-yard line. And Jim Smith, the wide receiver, is also the safety man on the Steeler 25. And he really has to backpedal. And Smith will make the reception at the 5-yard line. And hit and dropped at the 15-yard line. Fine play. And no flags on the play. Lynn Thomas down there to make the tackle. So we have 9 minutes and 10 seconds of the half. The Steelers and the 49ers putting it in play 1st and 10 on the Steelers 16-yard line. 9 minutes and 10 seconds of the half. No score as Stallworth comes this way and Smith goes wide right. Franco Harris and Frank Pollard are behind Terry Bradshaw, and it'll be a play-action fake. The back staying into block, and Bradshaw passing, and all alone is Smith, finally wrapped up by Ronnie Lott, and pushes him out of bounds at the 35-yard line as they pick up an easy first down.
Yes, a good-looking play-action fake, faking to the fullback and then faking to the halfback. He had all the time in the world to throw the ball, And then he throws an outside pattern to Smith, 86, who goes down and breaks to the outside. The young defensive back, number 42, Ronnie Lott, way off of him that time, and makes a big play, big gain on the play.
You know, last year, Jim Smith in 10 starts caught 9 touchdown passes, so you have to really keep an eye out for him, playing for Lynn Swan, who has a pulled hamstring. 1st and 10 on the 36. Bradshaw over to the left side to Stallworth, and he goes down on the tackle by Eric Wright. But boy, the Steelers, for being shut out, are sure rolling up the yardage.
And this is what they have to do. They have to throw, as we talked about earlier, in front of those defensive backs. They're doing that now. They did it to the right side. Now they come back with Stallworth making a catch on Eric Wright on the right side. But they have to exercise patience. They're doing a better job of it now, and they also have to throw more play-action passes on 1st down.
Franco Harris has eaten up 56 yards on the ground, and Bradshaw has passed for 57. And here comes Harris on a draw, but reading it nicely are the 49ers' Willie Harper to drop him. Chuck Noll. That's an amazing streak. He's been the coach of Pittsburgh for 13 years. That's the longest association in the AFC for a coach with the same team. And you know as well as I do, the attrition is very high.
It surely is. And Chuck has really done a super job, which is very obvious with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I really don't think he gets nearly the recognition that he really deserves.
So it'll be 2nd and 8. The ball just shy of the 50-yard line. Fred Dean almost got across, but he just did get back on time. Bradshaw deep over the middle of Stallworth. No good. Eric Wright on one side, Carlton Williamson on the other, and it is John Stallworth who is shaken up. The 8-year veteran out of Alabama A&M caught in the same squeeze that got Calvin Sweeney earlier.
Boy, you talk about the nutcracker drill. Look at this one with 21, Eric Wright. Watch this. Stallworth, good concentration, trying to make the catch. Wright knocks the ball down. They make good contact once the ball is on the ground.
That's the 2nd hard hit for Carlton Williamson.
Weekend, the champion Michael Spinks is undefeated. He faces a challenge of Bonzel Johnson for the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday.
Benny, moments ago in the Superdome, a flea flicker and Archie Manning to Guido Merkins, 46-yard. The Saints are now tied with the Falcons. Back to you.
3rd and 8 at midfield for the Steelers. No score in the 2nd quarter. Slot right for Terry Bradshaw. In fact, he had 4 receivers ready to go deep. Under some time, Bradshaw throwing, picked up in the air by Carlton Williamson. Williamson is at midfield, still on his feet, and gets back to the Steeler 45. The rookie out of Pittsburgh, who was recruited by the University of Pittsburgh as a fullback, has picked it off. We can take another look as there's some words said down on the field.
He's got a lot of time to throw the ball, and he continues to try to throw the ball deep. The ball's a little bit too high, and Carlton Williamson makes the interception. Number 27 does a great job, and now the 49ers have good field position.
So Carlton Williamson picking off the pass, but there was a lot of pushing and shoving after the play and a lot of angry words. And let's see what it results. The 49ers would appear to be angrier than Pittsburgh. That's about the only indication. You know, the 49ers have not been across midfield until this interception, and evidently the interception is going to be nullified. Bill Walsh squinting in this fall sunshine, trying to figure out what happened. And in a moment, Bob Frederick will tell us.
You sure can't tell watching the players.
The Pittsburgh offensive unit is back on the field after leaving it originally. Bob Frederick, the official, the referee, Lou Palazzi, the umpire, Jerry Bergman, the head linesman, Bob Beeks, the line judge, Bill Swanson, the back judge, Ron Murphy, the side judge, Don Hakes, the field judge, and now Bob Frederick will give us the interpretation.
It's a personal foul, a face mask by the defense, and we had prior to the pass, and then we had unsportsmanlike on a continuing action by both teams, which will be disregarded, we will penalize 5 yards from the previous spot and to be a first down.
Well, you talk about it coming up golden for Pittsburgh. So the penalty, the face guard against San Francisco prior to the pass. And, of course, that makes it an automatic first down for Pittsburgh. So not only do they pick up a first down, they get the ball back after having lost it in their own territory. So that nullifies the Carlin Williamson interception. The Jets, Pat Leahy, a 37-yard field goal to lead the Giants 3-0. The ball is on the San Francisco 45-yard line. Bradshaw to Frank Pollard. Pollard was tripped up by Dwayne Board at the line of scrimmage and then kept going for a couple of yards.
And this is the second time Pittsburgh has had very good field position. One other occasion in the first quarter, they had it on the 50 and got it to the 20 and fumbled. Now they have it on the plus 45, and they have to take advantage of the situation, or else this could be a long afternoon for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
6:50 left in the half. Bill Capice, a 46-yard field goal to tie it up for Tampa, 3-3 with Chicago. 2nd and 7 on the 42-yard line of San Francisco. Flag on the play as Bradshaw fires it low, complete to Stallworth at the 35-yard line. Williamson on top of him. But let's get the interpretation on the flag.
I think Jim Stuckey, the left end, was offside on the play for the 49ers.
And Pittsburgh was indicating immediately that they had picked up the first down.
Offside, number 74 on the defense, refused. Result of the play is a first down.
It was Fred Dean who was guilty of offside. Dean, of course, in order to get all those sacks, he has to be exceptionally quick, and every now and then he's caught jumping off. Meanwhile, Joe Ferguson to Joe Cribbs, 15-yard touchdown pass, and Buffalo leading Cleveland 13-0 in the second quarter. First and 10 on the San Francisco 35-yard line.
Good time for a play-action pass here.
Bradshaw on a straight drop back, setting up and looping it down the middle, and it is intercepted. It is picked off at the last minute on a pass intended for John Stallworth, and the defender making the reception, Dwight Hicks, is down and unable to move. Stallworth thought that Hicks was going to get up and run with it. John was trying to get back to make the tackle, and Dwight Hicks, after catching the ball, evidently hurt himself when he fell on it. Meanwhile, San Francisco and Pittsburgh, many of them stay up around the 40-yard line, arguing with one of the officials. Hicks is still down on the field.
I'm pretty surprised that Pittsburgh continue to try to throw the ball deep the way the secondary is playing. They've got the short stuff, and they've executed it very well when they've thrown the ball in front of, but they haven't had any success whatsoever trying to go up on top.
And remember, Bradshaw came in here with the second best ratio of interceptions to passes in the AFC. He had thrown only 6. No score, 6-17 to the half. Dwight Hicks evidently knocking the wind out of himself as he landed heavily after making the interception. And the Niners now at 1st and 10 on their own 9-yard line. But they did stop a Steeler drive. And there's Ricky Patton getting out to about the 14-yard line with Coors making the tackle. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for an NFL report.
Vinny, if San Francisco looks over its shoulder, here come the Atlanta Falcons. Steve Bartkowski, a 49-yard scoring strike to Alfred Jenkins, the 9th time that combination has teamed up for 6 this year. Back to you now in Pittsburgh.
2nd and 5 on the 14-yard line for San Francisco. No score in the ballgame. 5:42 to the half. Montana going to the left side to Dwight Clark at the 20, and he's driven out by Woodruff at about the 24-yard line. So that'll be plenty for the first down to keep a drive alive and also give Montana a little room to maneuver.
Yeah, a possession, kind of a pass outside, a very good call to Dwight Clark, who makes the catch He follows a very orderly process as he makes the catch. I'm talking about Clark, in that he watches the ball into his hands and then tucks it away and then tries to get as much yardage as he possibly can, which is very outstanding for him to do.
In the backfield now, you have Easley in there along with Patton. And Montana's going to go to Easley, and he has it at the 25 and is hit down at the 29-yard line. Robin Cole really drilled him along with Blunt. Remember earlier, Calvin Sweeney was shaken up for the Steelers. He is leaving the field and going to the dressing room. Meanwhile, they were checking Dwight Hicks' rib. There goes Calvin Sweeney. He took a horrendous lick from Carlin Williamson early in the game and hasn't played since.
And both shots came over the middle and deep.
2nd and 4 on the 30-yard line. Solomon coming out of the backfield. Montana setting up and then releasing to Ricky Patton. He's at the 35 and gets to the 40-yard line, and that's enough for a first down. So from their own 9, San Francisco has moved the ball 31 yards to the 40-yard line.
And Montana that time really made a good read. He tried to throw the ball downfield to the flanker who was hooking inside. The linebacker dropped off, so he very wisely threw the ball outside to Patton, and he ran for the yardage and made the first down.
1st and 10 on the San Francisco 40-yard line. Solomon goes wide right. Clark on the left side. Ricky Patton hesitates. There's no hole, and he falls forward maybe for 2 yards. That'll make it 2nd and 8 on the 42.
Like trying to throw spitballs at a battleship when they try to run the football. They can't get much yardage going right at that defense of Pittsburgh.
Patton has carried the ball 5 times for only 13 yards, Hank. Cooper 3 times for 10 yards, Easley once for 2 yards, so that's a grand total of 25 yards on the ground. 2nd and 9 on the 41-yard line. Easley in motion. Montana quick out to Clark, and was it no reception. No reception at the 50-yard line. He just never had control.
That's one of the few times he really didn't look it into his hands like he normally does. He started to make the reception, and it looked like he took his eye off the ball momentarily and then lost it as he tried to run upfield, and the ball was knocked loose.
3rd and 9 on the San Francisco 41-yard line. Montana 7 for 12 for 66 yards. He's been sacked once, a loss of 10 yards. Play action fake to Easley, and Montana throwing in a crowd and completed it to Solomon. And for the first time on their own merit, San Francisco has gotten into Pittsburgh territory.
You know, Montana that time again faked a run and then bootleg to the right side, rolled out, got away from all the traffic. Look, there's no pressure on him whatsoever. Solomon knew exactly where he had to be, got beyond the marker, kept both feet in bounds. Another reception for the 49ers.
So it'll be 1st and 10 on the Pittsburgh 49. Over in the sideline, Benny Cunningham having his left ankle taped. 1st and 10 on the Steeler 49. Solomon right. Mike Wilson wide left. And Montana took Clark inside the 45, and he's dropped at about the 43-yard line. Lambert, Ham, and Cole, all 3 linebackers there.
They had a triple wing that time. 3 receivers on the left side, had the area flooded, 1 on the right, and he just took the ball downfield to Clark again, who is a very outstanding possession kind of a pass receiver. He knows exactly where the open spots are. He anchored in the hole that time and got the reception.
Clark has now caught 4 for 39 yards. The key man in the San Francisco offense. 2nd and 4 on the Steeler 43. In motion is Easley. Hofer staying in to block. And a little release to Hofer coming out of the backfield. And he is dropped at the 31-yard line by Shell, and there's a flag on the play. So Hofer, 1 minute stayed in to block and then suddenly slithered through.
Yeah, he does a good job of acting. He pretends like he's going to block it and slips right over the middle. Gunn, that time, number 67, was putting good pressure on the quarterback. But Hofer did a good job of finding the spot, but there's a penalty on the play.
So this will be the second very tough penalty against San Francisco. The other, and remember, was on the apparent interception that was nullified. This one slows up the offense.
Offensive pass interference, number 31, second down.
So that's Walt Easley, who is coming out of the backfield guilty of offensive pass interference. That makes it 2nd and 14, and the ball back now in San Francisco territory at the 47. No score, 2:39 to the half. Hofer now is a wide receiver on the right side, and Solomon coming out of the backfield in motion. Montana looking towards Solomon and throws it away. Cutting across was Dwight Clark, the intended receiver. And with that, let's get another report from Brent Musburger in New York.
Benny, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with their longest pass play for a touchdown ever. It is Doug Williams to tight end Jimmy Giles, an 81-yarder, and the Buccaneers lead the Bears 10-3. Back to you in Pittsburgh.
Okay, Doug Williams, of course. Remember the gag when they used to say the only man who could overthrow the Ayatollah was Doug Williams? An 81-yard pass, he could overthrow anybody. 3rd and 14 on the San Francisco 47. Montana on a straight drop. Fakes once, now going deep, intended for Easley. No good. Easley taking a bump at the last minute from J.T. Thomas. He felt Thomas had interfered with him, and the official said no.
That time Clark was open in front. Evidently Montana did not see him. Looked like he was going to try to throw to him, decided to throw deep. But it was well faded, well covered. There was a bump by number 24, J.T. Thomas, as the ball was in the air. But evidently the official thought both people were trying to make an honest attempt to make the catch.
A great block by Randy Cross on Bob Coors to start that play. Now the punt. Deep is Jim Smith, the wide receiver at the 15-yard line. Up to the 20, and he is belted by Randy Cross right at the 20-yard line. And look out now. They're mixing it up. As Cross, who made the hit, walks away. Flag on the play. Among others down there in the middle of the argument is Lynn Thomas and Bobby Leopold of San Francisco. It's a post-possession foul, evidently. And it'll be against, I think, Lynn Thomas, 28.
Personal foul on the defense and personal foul on the offense. They will offset.
So offsetting personal fouls with a 1st and 10 on Pittsburgh's 21. A timeout, no score with 2:17 to the half. 1st and 10 on the Steeler 21-yard line with 2 minutes and 17 seconds to the half. The Steelers rolling up yardage and nothing else. The closest they came, they had a 1st and 10 on the San Francisco 25, and Franco Harris fumbled on the 20-yard line. So the Steelers with a little more than 2 minutes of the half, no score. Bradshaw with Franco Harris behind him. Frank Pollard on the left side. And it's deflected by big Archie Reese, number 78, to knock it down.
That's about the 5th time they use that double wing formation. They run from it several times, threw from it several times, and on all occasions, they really haven't done much with it at all.
You can see Bradshaw's numbers. He had 2 interceptions, but one of them was scratched because of a penalty. And, of course, he came in here with only 6 interceptions all year. Montana came in with only 5 interceptions all year.
Here again, I think Bradshaw has to be patient enough to throw the ball in front of, and especially throw play-action passes on early downs in the second half.
2nd and 10 on the Pittsburgh 21. And Bradshaw looking for some help. Throwing intercepted by Wright, and Eric Wright still on his feet to the 15, to the 10, and he's going in for a touchdown. Dwight, and there's a flag on the play as Eric Wright, the rookie out of Missouri, brought it in, but hold everything. You see if Pittsburgh has dodged another bullet.
It looks like it might be against Pittsburgh. I don't know. I don't know if Lott is a very good official or not.
Yeah, Ronnie Lott telling everybody that it was against Pittsburgh, but Bob Frederick is the man who's going to tell us what it counts. with 2 minutes and 1 second to the half. No score. They march it back to the 46-yard line of Pittsburgh.
Illegal use of the hands on the return. First down.
Okay, so the interception by Eric Wright stands, but instead of going all the way for a touchdown, it is 1st and 10 on the Steeler 46. No score in the ball game, and Montana looking for 6. To Dwight Clark, who is dragged down by Robin Cole as soon as he made the reception. And they'll mark it at about the 42, and Clark's shaken up a little bit.
You know, I talked to Bill Walsh yesterday and asked him, I said specifically, why is Montana such a good quarterback? And he said one thing, instincts. He's got tremendous instincts, and it's very obvious. You saw him that time step up into the pocket, get away from the trouble, and get the ball to Clark downfield.
And the people around San Francisco say the trading of Steve DeBerg took a great load off his shoulders, and consequently the development of a young quarterback. Seating message furnished by the National Football League. 2nd and 7 on the Pittsburgh 43-yard line. 1 minute and 55 to the half. No score. But on the Eric Wright interception, San Francisco, for the first time, in very good position. Easily releasing to the right, and Montana looked right and then dumped it off to Charles Young, and he's down at the 40-yard line. Jack Ham made the tackle. So with all of that, they only picked up 3 yards.
Yeah, he was a little late in seeing him. Easily went in motion to the right side and looked like he was trying to hit Easley. And then he came off for the right side and finally came to the tight end. Watch him. Steps up and delivers the ball to the tight end, but he's not able to make much yardage on the play. Number 59, Jack Ham, is right there to meet him after a 5-yard gain.
So it's about 3rd and 3 on the 40-yard line. Clock shows 1 minute and 47 to the half. No score. The comparison, Bradshaw 7 for 15 for 64 yards, but 2 interceptions, and he's been sacked once. Montana 11 for 18 for 88 yards, no interceptions. He has been sacked once for 10 yards. So Montana with 18 attempts today, and that's 117 without an interception. You know, next week on CBS Sports Saturday, the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship on the line. Michael Spinks, the 1976 Olympic gold medalist, will defend his crown for the first time against a tough Vonzell Johnson. Be ringside for all the action next week at 4:30, 3:30 Central and Pacific on CBS Sports Saturday. 3rd and 3 on the Steeler 40-yard line. I'm Vin Scully along with Hank Stram. Boy, they've been butting heads, but not going anyplace. Both backs release, and Montana finally lobbing the ball to Hofer, no good. He was trying to lead him and couldn't quite alley-oop it to him with Jack Lambert right there with him. A big day on the NFL CBS tandem today. Most of the country, immediately after our game, will be seeing the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Or in other areas, Detroit versus Los Angeles, St. Louis versus Washington.
A flag down on the play.
And it will be defensive holding against Pittsburgh. So it's a first down, 1st and 10 on the Pittsburgh 35-yard line. Deepest penetration for San Francisco. And here goes Easley trying to get outside, and he is pulled down at the last minute by J.T. Thomas, just about at the 35-yard line. So J.T. making a good play on Walt Easley, the rookie out of West Virginia, who was cut by Pittsburgh back in 1980.
You know, the defense of Pittsburgh, here you see him running to the left side. He's got the ball in the wrong arm. He has no protection whatsoever. I hate to keep bringing that up, but that's a fact. But the way they come up as quickly as they do, it looks like some kind of an option pass would be very effective.
Well, we'll take a look at it, Hank. 2nd and 10 on the 35-yard line. In motion is Freddie Solomon. Montana looking and now releasing to Easley. And Easley at the 30-yard line, and he is pinched down. He has to get just to the 25 for a first down. Well, they still have a tough 5 yards to go.
Well, that Pittsburgh Steeler defense is really responding well to what they see. They tunked the ball out to the outside to Easley, but look at the reaction. Donnie Shell, number 31, the strong safety, really comes up there quickly and makes the initial contact on the play.
It'll be 3rd and 5 on the Pittsburgh 30. At halftime, Jack Whitaker presents the legends of the game. Storm and Norman, Norm Van Brocklin. That's quite a story. It'd take more than a halftime to talk about Norm, Hank.
Oh, that's exactly right. And, of course, he's really a character and was a great football player and a super person. We used to call him oyster arms because he's got such great big forearms.
Well, not only do the legends on Norm Van Brocklin, Brendan Erb will be along with scores and highlights in the NFL today, so stay right with us. Joe Montana. He went to Ringgold High School over in Monongahela, not far away, and his pass list was somewhere between 40 and 50 for today's game. And yet he certainly appears to be calm and cool, not at all rattled about playing in front of the home folks. 25 years old.
You know, you have to be impressed with the way he throws the football. The follow-through when he has time to throw the ball is really outstanding.
Joe Montana, 6'2", 200-pounder, 25 years old. And you can see the third down conversions. Pittsburgh has done very well, and San Francisco has done poorly. We have 52 seconds to the half. No score at the 30-yard line. Ray Wershing, his longest field goal of the year, has been 47 yards. And you can see San Francisco with only one timeout. 3rd and 5, and that's Solomon in motion. The ball on the Pittsburgh 30-yard line. Montana over the middle. All alone is Clark to the 20-15. Spun out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. So Clark making the reception, and they're going to spot it at about the 7-yard line where it'll be 1st and goal.
A sneaky move by Clark. He sets up as on the other side of the field, on the left side, comes across on the delay pattern, makes the catch. He's wide open. Donnie Shell falls in the process of trying to be in the hunt, and he's finally tackled by number 49, Dwayne Woodruff. But a beautiful play by the 49ers.
Clark has now caught a half a dozen passes for 65 yards. 1st and goal on the 7. 44 seconds to the half. Easley and Hofer, and it's Hofer. And Hofer is inside the 5 to about the 4-yard line. A pickup of 3.
Well, they very wisely called timeout.
San Francisco has rushed for 9 touchdowns this year. As you see, Cincinnati leading Houston 21-7. The latest score, Kenny Anderson to Chris Collingsworth from 18 yards. It's a battle of Stabler and Anderson. Atlanta putting on the heat. Atlanta leading New Orleans 24-10 in the second quarter. Of course, Atlanta, William Andrews scoring from a yard out. Bartkowski has passed for 1. Francis has run for 1, and they're trying to catch San Francisco. With a 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line, the 49ers are now out of timeouts. And as far as time is concerned, 37 seconds. We were talking about San Francisco. You think of them as a passing team, but the balance is excellent, Hank. 11 touchdowns passing, 9 touchdowns rushing.
Yeah, last year their run-pass ratio was very high in favor of the pass. This year they came into this game averaging 36 runs a game and 30 passes, which is very good balance.
And the men who have scored rushing are Johnny Davis, who is not in there, and Ricky Patton, who has not been in there. The running backs right now are Hofer and Easley, unless they make a last-second change. Another score, Richard Todd to Wesley Walker, 39-yard touchdown. 2 field goals by Pat Leahy, and the Jets are leading the Giants 13-0 in the second quarter. To repeat, 2nd and goal. The ball on the 5-yard line, and time left 37 seconds to the half. Hofer and Easley are the running backs. Solomon in motion to the left. Montana looking right. Now guns it into Charles Young, the tight end, for the touchdown. Young just bounced away from Donnie Shell and made the catch, but hold everything. We'll take another look.
There he goes back into the pocket. He's got plenty of time to throw the ball. Sets up. Watch him step and throw. Watch him. Steps up nicely. Look at a good follow through. Delivers it right on the money to Young, who makes the reception. Number 24 bounces right off J.T. Thomas.
He knocked Donnie Shell to his knees on the collision. That's why he was able to catch the ball apparently all alone. So Charles Young, the touchdown, and San Francisco leading 6-0. Wersching is 11 for 11 in points. The holder is Montana, and the kick is good. So thanks to the interception by Eric Wright, which gave San Francisco the ball on the Pittsburgh 46-yard line, San Francisco drives for the touchdown, capped on that short pass from Joe Montana to Charles Young. You can take another look at Young's reception. It would be his 3rd touchdown catch of the year.
They send Solomon in motion to the left. And watch him. Watch his follow through. Watch him step up. Look at his follow through. The right leg is off the ground. He's like a pitcher. But Young does a good job. Watch him knock. I don't know whether we see that or not. We didn't see him knock down Shell, but he's big and strong. And he made the touchdown catch. And they go ahead 7-0 with 32 seconds left in the first half.
Greg Hawthorne and Larry Anderson will be deep for Pittsburgh. And the kick by Ray Wersching. Interestingly, the kickers today, Ray Wersching was born in Austria. David Trout, whom we haven't seen, the kicker for Pittsburgh, was born and grew up in Bolivia. His parents were missionaries. Here is Ray Wersching. There's the drive. Of course, the asterisk and footnote, it all started because of the interception by Eric Wright. Wersching gonna thump it, and going back is Hawthorne, taking it at the goal line, and Greg is to the 10, 20, and they stack him up at about the 28-yard line. Bill Ring, number 30, was the first man down there to make the initial hit, and there he is. Good play. Next week, here's the NFL on CBS, shaping up as quite a week. Detroit versus Washington, the Giants at Green Bay, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tampa Bay versus Minnesota, Chicago at Kansas City, Atlanta, San Francisco, and New Orleans versus Los Angeles. With 26 seconds left, Pittsburgh has 3 timeouts, and they have the ball on the Pittsburgh 29. Who fumbled, got away from Pillars, number 65, picked up by Williamson, and it will be San Francisco ball. So Pollard fumbles, and that's another turnover. 4 turnovers for Pittsburgh.
Here you see it. It's a trap inside with Pollard getting turned, gets hit from the backside. The ball bounces loose and is finally recovered by number 27, Carlton Williamson.
And of course, Lawrence Pillars, number 65, had it first, but the lineman unaccustomed to holding on to the pigskin. So now it is 1st and 10 on the Pittsburgh 36. 21 seconds to the half. San Francisco with a chance to add to a 7-0 lead. Montana to Walt Easley, and Easley heading for the sideline, got out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
He got rid of that ball just about the time he got shot. Got a shot from the backside, but he still got it right on target too easily. Boy, he shows a lot of poise, doesn't he?
He sure does. It'll be 2nd and 9. The ball at the 36-yard line. And of course, time is such a factor. 14 seconds to the half. To repeat, Ray Wersching's longest field goal of the year, 47 yards. 2nd and 9. Easley staying in the block as Montana on a roll, and he's going to keep it to the 30 and go out of bounds to Solomon. Threw a pretty good block at Jack Ham, and Montana wisely heading for the sidelines to stop the clock with 8 seconds.
Good judgment on the part of the young quarterback, Montana. There was a possibility that he might be able to get the ball downfield to Hofer, but he wisely ran the ball instead, stopped the clock, and now there's 8 seconds left in the first half.
Ray Wersching is 6 for 8 in field goals. Joe Montana is the spotter. Montana will be holding the ball at the 35, almost the 36-yard line. So it's about a 46-yard field goal, and his longest this year, 47. Wersching boots it high and long and perfect. So thanks to the Pollard fumble and the Williamson recovery, San Francisco has a chance and doesn't miss the opportunity. They pick up 3 more points, as Wershing is 7 out of 9 in field goals, 12 for 12 in points. He's a CPA in the offseason. He has to be a CPA to keep track of his points. He's doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, he's really a great kicker. And the difference in this game so far, really, Ben, is the fact that the 49ers have had good field position on 3 occasions, and they took advantage of it on 2. The Steelers have had good field position on 2 occasions and didn't come away with any points, and that's really the difference in this game so far.
If you're a statistician, you might also notice that the team scoring first has won 65% of the games in the NFL this year. And a reminder at halftime, Jack Whitaker's legends of the game, Norm Van Brocklin, plus Brendan Erb, who scores in highlights. Ray Wershing teeing it up on the 35. Anderson and Hawthorne are deep. It is 10-0 San Francisco, and a knuckleball kick down to about the 35-yard line. Sidney Thornton picked it up but ran into his old man. He ran into Tunch Ilkin, and down they go as clock runs out, and the Wolves are howling in Pittsburgh. San Francisco leading the Steelers 10-0. This is Ben Scully along with Hank Stram.
The Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time,